Greetings, everybody. Yes, another beautiful day. We had rain. Oh, so refreshing. And I'm out here looking at the progress of my friend's plants, the cat's plants, and the cat's parents. And look, more angel trumpet. So this is the angel trumpet. And they will be able to, hopefully, have access when they come home to this back side, the ones back here. There's more in the making that will blossom still, this patch. But these guys have pretty much all made it happen. I don't know how long they stay open or what they look like or anything. I've never witnessed this, but I am now. They're incredible. Yeah. Very, very incredible. So here we are walking in the little autumn garden where Ricky the cat lives. And we talked day one session for the group sessions, which are virtual and will be sequential. So this is number 2. And we talked about some things that I also want to go over, but I'm going to introduce something new. And it's the concept of assessing yourself by way of writing down all of your successes. And there can be really small successes, or they can be large successes, or they can be arbitrary successes. And the emphasis is on when you did something in which you asked somebody to help you, and you felt badly about not being able to do all of it, but the outcome was better than if you had done everything yourself. I think that's a pretty amazing idea. Let me give you an example. I waited tables. Many of us have waited tables. And I was behind on my tables as far as the performance level at which I wanted to give them. And it was the wine service. And I could not do the wine service, which is present the bottle of wine, present it to the table, make sure everybody likes it, etc., etc. And I asked the hostess to do it, and she was more than happy to do it. And then she went over there and did it, and I looked over feeling ashamed of myself that I wasn't able to do it myself. And I got the biggest tip ever because the people had perfect service. So that's an example I have for you. So this is just number 2. This is just for you to go away with some of these thoughts. I'll have other things in the description if you're interested, but this is just a nice short one for you to be at a place of where you're pausing, where you recognize the things that I said in yesterday's video, that when you've been through a trauma, there's a certain amount of standstill that is necessary as the body recalibrates. So the only way that Jungian psychology should be applied to yourself, I think, is in this sort of situation, but not in the idea that all characters in your experience are parts of you, such as narcissistic abuse or truly evil people. They exist, and it's a mind fuck. It's to tell people to accept the idea that we're all one. And when I stopped doing that, I felt much better about myself. when I was like, okay, well, we could do the Ho'oponopono, but no, I'm not. I'm going to do a Ho'oponopono only on people I know. I have that capacity. I can do I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, which is Ho'oponopono magic with siblings, marriages, lovers, and parents. But that's not where we're going. You will learn that too. So you're going to be learning exercises as well as entertaining ideas and getting homework assignments. So if you haven't already gotten to lesson 1, go ahead and do that one after this one, or stop this one and do that one then, whatever you prefer. And in this one, count your successes. All those times you thought you were blowing it. You thought you ruined it. You thought you did the worst possible thing. Like, oh my gosh, spilling earth. Actually, that was the squirrel. I saw it. And I moved the pots. And when you allocated or asked somebody for help, things turned out better than you thought they ever would. That's what I'm talking about. So do that assessment. Take that inventory. And then the next thing is, to make that list of successes so that you are happy with it. So once you've written it down, you want to then go ahead and rewrite it in ways that are affirming. But then you could also go on the other side, the fears. So for instance, in other words, we're going to do that too. There's a column, your successes, and then the negative emotion behind it, but the positive outcome. Because the idea is that we don't always have successes, we have failures too. But sometimes those failures turn into successes, or they show us a different way of going. And they show us when to give up, when to give in, or when to keep going. And sometimes it's better to take that pause, especially when I've had all these successful relationships with narcissists, because I was a narc magnet. Narcissistic personalities loved me because I was what they'd call groomed from the day I was born by my pathologically narcissistic mother. And if you have come to that realization too, you're going to have a whole bunch of feelings, but that's not what this is about right now. We will talk about emotions. We will talk about feelings. Just take a look at the 7 stages of grief. Type in that when people are dealing with death, because this is really what this is. It's the death of your past. It's the death of the idea of what you thought your life was. It's the death of a relationship with a narcissist partner that really wasn't with that person, but with your idea of them. It was your strong fantasy of what that person was and what you wanted them to be that kept you there, along with a trauma bond, etc., etc. And those were all gifts, fantasizing to keep you in a sane state when you were being raised by a mother who berated you, perhaps like mine did. And you had to go deep within and find the strength of yourself and the truth of yourself. And then I would go to school, and I was, fortunately for me, I was very well liked and talented. And so I had positive strokes in the school with my peers. That was my saving grace. I don't know what it would have been like for me if I was teased there too. But instead, I was not. Yep. So, okay, so that on the opposite side of that column, you're going to be putting what you think your failures were. And that's what you're going to do. Just take a look at them, assess them, take an inventory of them. And then we're going to move them into something else. We're going to take a look at their 180. The maybes, which is William James material. The maybes of life. Like, maybe it wouldn't have been so hot if you had stayed with that person that you thought you loved so much. If you're a young woman and you lost a person, but now you're going, wait a second, they were very narcissistic. They would act really, really interested, and then they would love bomb me, but then they would go away and ghost me and never hear from them again. And then all of a sudden they would be back at it, and then they would start a fight once things were fine. That sort of thing. Those are all patterns of a narcissist. So maybe you're better off that he dumped you, if you were given the discard. And that is something to be grateful for, but in the moment you're hurt because the body gets addicted to the hormone rush from the oxytocin, from the sex and the love and all of that, and all your hormones. So it's a drug. Your own body has a pharmacy that works for you. If you are with a partner sexually, that you stay with. This is why for women, it is caustic to have sex before a committed relationship, even though society promotes otherwise, because you think it's about feminism and freedom of your body, but it's really hatred of you, because then you get ruined and spent, and you don't bond, and you don't have the same level of those hormones that are generated by that person and you together because you've been around. Okay? Men can have sex with anything, women bond. It's a lie that you can be this liberated person and do whatever you want with your body, and you've been duped into believing it's a good idea. Think about it. And think about it, really. But do not give yourself a hard time. And if you really loved the experience and all of that, then flush this part down the toilet. Because there's a saying in life which says, take what you want when somebody's offering you something and leave the rest on the shelf. You're not going to agree with everything I have to say. Ever. There I am. I got my jeansies on. And there's a cat and a cat. All right, we're going to go in now. Oh, look at that. It's an optical illusion. Isn't that neat? Like they're both side by side. That's what life can be. Life can be an optical illusion. That yellow, orange cat, sorry, is not in there. He's right there. All right, now let's let him in. Here we come. Hi, Simon. Oh, I apologize. I hit the cat in the butt. Alrighty, dinner time for kitties, and you have your homework, guys. Y'all, you know what you're gonna do now. You are going to make your inventory, and I gotta see if there's something else in here, because these lessons, they can be up to 15 minutes long, 15 to 20. Okay, so we talked about the childhood trauma recovery group. I'm going to have a whiteboard sessions when I get into the more sophisticated things like William James. I'll talk about Jungian psychology because, I forgot to tell you about that part. So the Jungian psychology that would apply to the waiting tables is that I was able to get outside of my own desire to be a really good waiting person, server, to be able to do everything. I took that desire that I wanted to be perfect and put that table in their enjoyment and their timely delivery of what they ordered above my ego. And I was rewarded for it. Okay, so what we're going to learn is also healthy hate. Healthy hate. They have this thing called hate speech, and everyone acts like it's terrible. Well, hate is actually a very good thing. It's a survival technique. And I can hate things if I want to. And I accept myself for that. Now, if you were raised Christian like I was, or was it Protestant, I'm not sure, we were not allowed to hate. And if I said I hated something, such as canned spinach or canned vegetables of any kind, I was chastised. But I hate them. So I hate what my mother did to me in the past. I don't hate my mother. I hate the way she treats me, you see? So to feel extreme enmity towards, that's being an enemy, okay? Hate, definition number 1. An intense hostility and aversion is usually deriving from fear, anger, or a sense of injury. Okay? So for me, I can hate how my mother treated me because she was hateful, malicious, deserving hate. And you can look in a dictionary for your own version of it. Abhorrent is a good one. Because abhorrent character is, what is it in here? It characterizes that which outrages a sense of what is right, decent, just, or honorable. My mother's behavior, mannerisms, and speech was often abhorrent because she created within my body a sense of opposition to what was truly right, decent, just, and honorable. So learning how to have healthy hate will allow children of a narcissistic parent, especially in my case, a narcissistic mother, to actually recognize how they are allowed to hate what that person did to you. You're allowed to hate what they put you through. You don't have to hate the person. I'm not one of those people that says turn the other cheek, okay? What I'm trying to talk about is, let's see here. Oh, that's day 3. And we'll talk about all of that later. Okay, so I've got a lot to cover. I got to take notes. I can't remember what I already talked to you about. But these are all this is brainstorming sessions, so this is sort of great for you to be along the road for me. I was thinking of a coffee mug merch. It says, I get to be me now, which is one of my sayings. And then hate, the taboo emotion. That would be a very interesting thing to read. And then reprogramming and undoing some damage. We're going to do the reprogram of the subconscious mind. We're learning how to do it. But first, we're taking a look at the words and the spells that mess with our minds in the first place, because there's an empowerment to hating. All right? We also can talk about biology behind the stress response and what happens when you get hooked, the trauma jag, and then you're hooked on it. And then breaking the spell that says you are a bad person for feeling hate goes with that one. And that when I broke up with my narcissist, I was a bad person for taking my interests above theirs. And I had to hurt my children in order to ultimately not hurt them. And that is the truth as I believe it. So this is what I wrote down, my arbitrary success. I was waiting tables. I was too busy to do the wine service. I felt crappy. I couldn't do it at all. And I asked the hostess to do it. She loved doing it. And she enjoyed it so much, she was happy. And she even told me so. And I think I gave her like $5 or something. And I got the biggest tip ever from that table. In a situation in which I felt I couldn't do it. Okay, and then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about haiku. And what I discovered is in reading haiku, it soothed my mind. The clouds come and go, providing a rest for all, the moon viewers. Lonely silence, let's start over. Lonely silence, a single cicada's cry sinking into stone. So I found that the rhythm of haiku was all very, very soothing, and learning how to write haiku is something that would be a creative task for those who are feeling stuck and just writing a simple 575. I think that's how to do it. But find out what there is about haiku. And here it says, the 3 lines totaling 17 syllables, measuring 575. And it's going to present elements of nature always in surprising ways of using words, imagery. So I'll leave this here for you to read. And it's a great little book. So it's for me, it's the rhythm of reading it, but you might enjoy writing it. So this is the ISBN. By now, it could be $20 for all we know, right? This is an old book. It belongs to the man of the house who's a poet and a musician. The cats. Okay, you guys, I'm coming. I'm going to make my soup, and I'm going to make you your dinner. I'm coming. Okay, guys, tomorrow.